when we start to think about technology dictating the employee experience, how do we keep the robots from taking over the world, Ginaly?
Man, that is a very loaded question, and I think part of a whole nother series.
Welcome to Manage Chaos Podcast, where we give you the startup business rundown in less time than it takes for you to get to work.
I'm Katrina Purcell, and we are on our third episode with Ginaly Gonzalez. Welcome back.
Thank you.
She is the founder and CEO of Equivida, a people-first HR strategy firm that helps high-growth teams use technology to amplify human potential rather than replace it. That's actually going to be really the topic of our episode today. And I'm really excited because we've been talking about doing this for a long time. So spoiler is that we've actually worked together, which was part of why I really wanted to have you on, because I've seen you in action. And I think working with people in teams and working in an HR capacity is so difficult, especially in a remote environment where everyone is scattered everywhere. You don't have those office touch points, and you handle it with such grace.
Oh,
and so I'm just so excited that we're going to sit and have a conversation around how do we get technology to serve humanity? How does our tech support our teams, not drive our teams, not drive our people process? People and startups love buying tools.
Yep.
Right? There's a SaaS for that, right? You can just buy something and it'll fix the problem, throw it at the problem. Let's work through Equivida's core ethos here of the technology must serve the people, not that the people serve the technology.
Yes.
Let's start there.
Yeah, and I think really the foundation of that topic is around making sure that the technology you're investing in is creating space for human moments and not replacing those human moments. And so while investment in tools is a really great thing when utilized in the right ways for people versus sort of handed off and expected adoption to happen sort of on its own, that's where you leave a lot of room for people to fill in the blanks of the questions that they have that then don't yield the right results in driving engagement with the tools that you're investing in. When you're thinking about utilizing technology and bringing it into your workforce, have you asked the very important question of how is this going to serve my people versus replace them?
I love the comment that you made around the human moments. So we're going to dig into that a little bit more. Let's talk about those moments that should be uniquely human throughout not only the hiring journey, but once you're hired and you've started on a team. Where's a moment where it really should be you and another human, even if that's via Zoom, but not you and an automated process?
Really, it's in the cascade of information. A lot of times people say, well, just automate that. But when it comes to human moments, whether that via Zoom or in person, should be those initial feedback conversations that are then followed up with a recap email anchoring to what was talked about, worked through, and agreed upon to move forward. I would say the most important human connection touch points that you don't want to lose, but while also still adopting automation, is the cascade of information, especially when it relates to people, changes, and feedback.
When someone has to manage up, or when they need to come to you because they've had maybe a death in the family, or maybe they're overwhelmed by their workload, that shouldn't be done through a bot or an intake form. They should be able to have open conversation if they feel like it warrants it.
100%. They should be able to have the open conversation. And if it's a conversation about feeling overwhelmed with workload or overwhelmed with work, life, and anything else that comes with just being a holistic human, maybe the conversation is, how are you using the technology that's meant to help you drive efficiency in your day-to-day? Do you need upskilling in this area to help you really utilize the tools in meaningful ways that give folks time back, not only for themselves to rethink about how they're going to use their time, but also just to make sure that you are connecting with folks in a human-based connection point and talking about these things.
So I just recently ran a hiring process for a client, and when I sent the decline emails, I used Claude to help me write them, and then I used Indeed to be able to send them. So there was a certain level of automation within that process, but so many people replied back to say, thank you for closing the loop, because they actually normally never heard when they got declined. And I thought, with all the automation that exists in the world, how are we not even just closing the loop with people? We're ghosting them.
Yeah, it's a really great point on the other side of the coin. And it starts with understanding what's important to people, building on your level of understanding of what humans find value in helps you build better processes, and utilizing tech to drive more efficiency in the ways in which those things are done is the best possible outcome. For an instance like that, where it's high volume, you probably have a leaner team working on the hiring process, utilizing automation to make sure that humans are getting a communication at the very least, had a great return, which I think is fantastic use of the technology.
Well, and I think it touches back on our last episode where we talked about empathy, because we've all been in that situation where we're like, did I not get the job? Did they fill the job?
Right.
Like, what happened to the job? Who knows, right? And so that feeling of uncertainty from that place of empathy is where then you're like, oh, I should definitely make sure I let people know that we've hired someone and that unfortunately they weren't the person.
Yeah. And I think really the question you want to ask yourself when you're building out these processes or steps within a process is, would I want a bot to be telling me this, or would I want an actual human to be telling me this? And if it's really feeling like it needs to come from a human, keep it human-based connection. If a human can't get to you, but you would value a communication, automate.
When we start to think about technology dictating the employee experience, how do we keep the robots from taking over the world, Ginaly?
Man, that is a very loaded question, and I think part of a whole nother series podcast. But if I'm thinking about it from this perspective, it really is just about thinking about your culture as it exists today, thinking about your culture 6 months, a year from now with adopting new technologies. And when you're thinking about the ways in which you're adopting those new technologies in your future view, does your culture feel cold or does it still feel warm?
Ooh.
Right? Just very simple. And then if it feels a little bit cold, then you start to know that maybe you're leaning too heavily on automation and tooling that is actually removing the human to human interaction or just feeling connected to the culture in that way. You might then start to feel a shift in your workforce. They might start feeling like technology is taking over my role and I'm losing my skills, or technology is taking over my role, I can't find my place anymore. You have to lean into, does my culture still feel warm, or is it starting to feel a bit cold?
I love that concept. That also means that you've actually defined your culture, which we've talked about a few times, but it's so important because I think when we're first getting started, the important thing is, we have to just get this product out, right? And even when we have those first few hires, they're probably just friends, or they're probably people who were like in your ecosystem and you don't think of them as hires necessarily. So you don't ever sit down and really think about defining your culture. And the problem with that is that if you don't define it, it will define you. Right? The culture will start to exist and then you'll say, well, wait a minute, that's not our culture. And your team will say, that's actually how we act. And you might not want that to be how you act.
Yes. Culture lives on a slide and then it's felt in the meetings. What you want to do is listen to the people who are on the ground and experiencing the culture in the day-to-day, because that's really the culture that is leading everything that's going on within your ecosystem of people.
So when we think about scaling and a company that maybe has to do rapid hiring, rapid onboarding, right? And so they really want to use some form of HR technology for efficiency. How do they implement that for efficiency's sake without losing the sort of empathy and the personalization of a one-on-one conversation with each employee?
Yeah. It's, again, starting with the curiosity at the front end of the people experience and what you want them to have. Being open with what are the tasks that we expect AI to absorb, and then what does that leave room for the human to actually operate within. Being open with those things even before you hit the market is going to help you shape the conversations you're going to have with candidates in the hiring process, shape the onboarding plan that's going to help a candidate come in and ramp and be a valuable contributing member to your team very quickly upon onboarding. It's establishing the guiding principles like we've talked about, the norms and the ways in which you're utilizing the technology and expectations around that really help people feel good about adopting and working within the systems that you're putting in place.
There's also this element, especially in the US, when you have people in multiple states, there's the back end issues with that, right? Each state has their own laws. Each state has different rules about how things are handled. And having that be handled by technology, because that doesn't necessarily need to be handled by a person. So then your person who's handling HR can actually have those one-on-one interactions where they can explain how that actually affects the employee.
Yes, if you're taking technology and you're using it for things like payroll, if you're using it for things like research to help you move a bit quicker, but then you're utilizing your human for the human moments, it's a great use in finding the balance.
If a founder is looking at auditing their internal tech stack today, is there one human touch point or HR process that they should permanently say, I'm never going to automate this. This always has to be face-to-face? Is there one thing that you can think of?
I would say performance discussions, and that's really because, again, coming from a place of empathy, it's people at the end of the day grinding, doing the work, and they're there still every day because they care. It's clear as to why they still feel they have something to add to the role. So having a human take care and show interest in the ways in which they want to grow, the gaps they feel that they have, the support that they need to be most successful really needs to be absorbed by a human.
I think then where you could layer the technology is I've done 10 conversations. Here's all the different levels of feedback. What type of training could I develop for my team? Or what? Like that's where you can add the maybe automated layer.
Yeah, or I've met with my entire team, to your point, this is what's bubbling up to the surface. What from a policy, benefits, tooling perspective do you think my workforce needs to meet our goals?
What is one of the things that you find most often is the most interesting human problem that these startups have?
I believe it is a misperception of capacity.
Ah, okay. Let's dig more into that.
Yes. It's a very fine line, right? Because startups are investing a lot in tooling. They are expecting AI to transform their workforce by 2030. And yet, I believe the figure is only 5% of employees are actually utilizing tech to its full potential. And so that's a pretty big gap if we're looking to transform between now and 2030. It really is about not just taking the technology and expecting it to drive those outcomes. It's also how do we build people's capabilities to solve for capacity in meaningful ways so that the investments you're making are the right ones and it's not a waste at the end of the day.
Right.
And then people feel supported in driving their work through the use of technology.
Okay, I love that. That's where we're going to end this episode. This has been such a fun time talking through how technology should really serve humanity. So we're not here to serve the tech. The tech is here to serve us. And that's how we're going to leave this episode. Thank you for joining us on Managed Chaos Podcast. We will see you on the next episode. Please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Outsourcing your US tech talent shouldn't be hard. With Pobble.io, we deliver high-quality teams on demand and provide huge cost savings to your business. Try it now at Pobble.io. Mention the amazing guys at Managed Chaos when you email us and get a free market data report. Email contact@Pobble.io.